Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are streaming from as you are catching this live. This is Joan T. Randall, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Jesus, Joan, and Journal. We are in week 2, day 3. Week 2, day 3. And we have been talking about legacy building for believers and the importance of building legacy, right? As a woman or man of God, as a believer, as someone who knows that you are purposed to use your gifts and your skills and all of your talents and leave something on earth. And so I'm excited to be doing the summer series. We have had some amazing people that has stopped by and commented. And, this is not about reaching the masses, but it's more about the people who need it and hear it and can take away what I am sharing for this summer series. So if you're joining me for the first time, my name is Dr. Joan T. Randall. Good morning, Sister Cheryl. My name is Dr. Joan T. Randall. I'm the founder and CEO of Victorious You Press. It is a publishing services company where we help people write and publish their book for impact and influence, and then leverage their books to create multiple streams of income and leave a legacy. And I talk about legacy a lot because I know that we came on earth to leave something. It's never just to come on earth and then go away and not leave anything, right? There has to be something left behind when we leave, because that is the purpose. That is our purpose. The word purpose in of itself means for that which something is created. Like, we try to go around and make all these assumptions or, educated ideas of what purpose is. The definition of purpose is for that which something is created. So the mere fact that you are on earth, that you were created, you are purposed. Okay. So it's as simple as that. A lot of times people say, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what. It's already in you. You have to do a little bit of work, right? And kind of find it. But it's not rocket science, right? As long as you know who you are and you are steadfast in the character that you built, right? As you grow, as you age. And I'll say this to you. Good morning, Sister Janet. Good morning, Julia. And I'll also say this to you. Most often, kids know what they're purposed to do because they're young and they're full of faith. And whatever they believe in, they just believe in it, right? I say to you, I've said this several times. I look at my grandchildren, especially my youngest one, and he said he was born to be a football player and that he is going to be the best defensive player that ever lived. And you cannot tell him that that's not what he's purposed to do, right? But that childlike faith is what drives him to believe it. And he practices every day. And I have to throw him the ball and he has to catch. And he goes to football practice 3 times a week, right? Because in his heart, he knows that that's what he is to do. But we grow older and we lose that childlike faith. And then we question, what are we here for? What are we here for? Well, you're here for something. Your lived experiences, your life experiences, your life experiences, the adversities, the hurdles, the all the things that you have been through, it leads to what you're purposed to do. So you don't have to run around trying to find it. It is there, but it's important to tell the story, right? And this week, it's all about storytelling. This week that we're talking about, last week, for Jesus, Joan, and Journal, it was about mindset. It was about knowing who you are. It was about knowing the woman that you are in God. It's about knowing your DNA, right? Your dominion, your name, your authority. This week, we're talking all about the written word. And the theme for this week is the power of the pen, writing as a generational seed. Right? And we're in day 3 today, and we are going to come back. Hi, Nate. It's nice to see you. I'm going to come back just after about 44 seconds. I'm going to run this intro and then I'll be right back. 44 seconds. I'll be back. All right. And I am back. And so today, week 2, day 3, our title of today is Testimonies That Transform. Testimonies That Transform. This week is all about our book week. Next week, we will go into business. The week after that, we will go into real estate, baby. All right. So it's all about books, business, and other books, business, and buildings, right? So that's the theme for this week. And we are dropping things so that you can walk away with. Nate said, I've got to run, but thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So testimonies that transform is what we're talking about this morning. And the very first point that I want to make is that your testimony is a weapon, not a weakness. Your testimony is a weapon, not a weakness, right? And Elder Randall, what do you mean by that? I mean to say that your testimony is your fighting tool. Your testimony is your defensive tool. Your testimony is that thing that you built with gut and grind and resilience. That's your tool. That's your weapon. It is your tool, and it is not a weakness. The things that you experience in life does not make you weak. It builds you. It makes you stronger, right? And so don't ever think that all the things that you have been through, no matter how bad they are, no matter how disappointing they are not your weakness. They are your strength. They are your weapon. So the enemy wants you to stay silent in shame. That's why a lot of people don't tell their stories, because the enemy wants you to stay silent in shame. But your story is for someone else's survival guide. Your story, your experience is someone else's survival guide. Somebody out there is waiting for their breakthrough because of your story. And if you don't give it to them, they'll never get their breakthrough. Every deliverance, every breakthrough, every wilderness moment, every, hurdle, every mountain, every moment that you are on earth and have experienced something, it has the power to set another captive free. Everything has the power. Everything you experience has the power to set someone else free when you share it. That's the thing. When you share it, because they won't know that you have experienced that, the same thing that they are going through, unless you share it, right? Your pain is never pointless. Your pit moment is never pointless. Your prison moment is never pointless, right? All of that leads to the palace experience. So it is never pointless. It's proof of God's power. It is proof of God's power. And I want to share a book because, we're talking about books, business, and beyond, and we're talking about legacy building for believers. And we know that every believer should leave something behind, right? And so when I talk about your testimony is a weapon and not a weakness, your pain is not pointless, it is proof of God's power. I want to share a little bit about this young lady who was a part of my self-publishing cohort in March, right? Her father passed away 3 years ago or so. And the pain of of the loss was devastating to her. And it crippled her. The loss of her father crippled her because he was her everything. And when Sarah Amaya joined our self-publishing cohort and created her own self-publishing company, the very first book she wanted to publish under her company, her publishing imprint, was this book, A Daughter's Loss, A Father's Love. And as we were talking about it, I was sharing with her, Sarah, you lost your earthly father, but you didn't lose your heavenly father. You didn't lose your heavenly father. The physical father that God gave you to in order for him to steward your life on earth, you lost. But your creator, the one who formed you and fashioned you, the one who knew you before you were placed in your mother's womb, he's still with you. He's still in you. He's still around you. He still loves you. So although you lost your physical father, you didn't lose your heavenly father. And so that was a breakthrough moment for Sarah. And she decided to write this book. And the book is about mourning the loss of a father, wondering if it will ever end, wondering if you can grow through life with this type of pain, but also understanding that there is the realization of God the Father, whose love will never leave her. And now, how do you come to grips with the comfort and the peace and the joy of knowing that your Father in heaven is still there? And so I wanted to share this with you because her testimony now of the pain, her grief journey, and finding the courage to overcome the grief is truly a testimony, is truly her weapon now, right? And it's not a weakness for her. She realized this is no longer my weakness, and I can bless someone else as a result of telling the story. And so I'm sharing this book with you. And just in case you may have gone through something similar that Sarah has gone through, I'm going to grab her link because I want to drop it in the chat so that if you have an interest in purchasing this book, make sure it's in the chat. Hang on one moment, friends. Hang on a moment, friends. I want to make sure I'm putting it in the right place. Yep, hang on. There we go. So here it is in the chat, and you can pick up a copy of this book, A Daughter's Loss, A Father's Love, for anyone that have gone through the pain of losing a father. And here is the takeaway that I want you to have for this point number one, which is your testimony is a weapon, not a weakness. What you have been through is not just for you. What you have been through is not just for you. It's evidence that transformation is possible. It's evidence that transformation is possible, right? So point number two of testimonies that transform is that healing multiples when you tell the truth. Let me tell you, there is nothing like telling the truth about your story, no matter how painful or shameful it comes across. And the multiple or multitude of people that can be healed from your story of shame is unbelievable, right? Here is what I know is that silence protects the past. Your silence of not wanting to share because of fear of what others would say. Your silence of not wanting to share because of what you think family members may even say about you, right? Your silence of not wanting to share is protecting the past, is protecting that person, that thing, that experience that makes you feel ashamed, right? But the truth releases the future. The truth releases the future. Have you ever heard they say the truth will set you free? The truth releases the future. The truth allows you to stand in the power of who you became as a result of that experience, right? When you tell your story, you give permission for others to be honest about theirs. And that honesty breeds healing. We had Angela Mitchell on last Friday, and she has had an incredible 360-degree transformation from the woman that I met in 2020, right? And when I asked her on Friday, what can you sum up? What was that pivotal moment in time or that thing that you did that started the transformation? And her response to me was writing the one chapter in a book. She wrote one chapter in an anthology, and the wheels started turning because she told her truth. It was, a very hard truth to tell, but it was her story. It was her experience. And because she told the story, it releases something in her. It released a truth inside of her. And the healing started to take place. And once that healing started to take place, she just rode the wave of momentum. I'm calling it the healing momentum. She rode the wave of the healing momentum, and her life began to transform, not only emotionally, but physically. She lost over 100 pounds, right? She went back to school and got her master's. All of these things started to happen in her life. She accepted Christ, and then that spiritual transformation started to happen. And then she just started studying and learning things. And now she's a master digital marketing expert, right? So her whole life took on a whole new meaning and a whole new shape because she told the truth, because she wrote the story. It was no longer inside. She took it out. And so all these other women were being blessed as a result of her writing her story, right? Vulnerability, guys, doesn't weaken your legacy. It strengthens your authenticity. Vulnerability, it doesn't weaken you. Vulnerability doesn't say you're weak. Vulnerability says, I am strong. And because I am strong, I can be authentic. Because I am strong, I will no longer allow shame to hold me hostage. Because I'm strong, I will no longer let my story rule me or rule my life. I am the owner of my life. I am the creator. When I say creator, I'm not talking about the creator. I create what I want to create for my life, right? I own it. I know that this is my story. I acknowledge it. And I'm going to tell the truth because the truth releases the future. The truth set me on a path to where I want to go next. The truth is my guiding light. The truth is my guiding force. The truth is how I show up when I show up. The truth is my confidence. The truth is my commitment. The truth is my transformation. The truth is my resilience. That's what the truth is. And so when you tell your story and you tell your truth, you are breaking generational curses. You are breaking generational, secrecy. Sometimes you are the generational curse breaker. It may be that you are the one that says, this stops now. I'm sharing what I experienced so someone else can get the breakthrough. So my nieces and nephews can get the breakthrough. So my children and grandchildren can get the breakthrough. So my family, extended family can get the breakthrough. Sometimes you own that, right? Your testimony opens the door for healing in others who are still hiding. Your testimony opens the door for healing in others that are still hiding, right? And I'm going to bring the next book right here. And this is my book, right? This story, good morning, Queen. Nice to see you. This story is my story. Bags in the attic. It's my story. And I was ashamed of the story. I was ashamed of all the things I had experienced. I was ashamed of things I did when I was so much younger, back home in Jamaica. I was ashamed of the experience that I had with domestic violence. I was ashamed to say that at one point I was homeless. I was ashamed of that story. And for years, I kept it inside, harboring the shame and the secrecy of this experience. And it wasn't until I wrote the book and told the story that I got complete deliverance from something that I was hiding for almost 20 years. Complete and utter deliverance. And not only that, this story helped hundreds of people leave domestic violence situations, right? Overcame the shame of domestic violence because I wrote the book, because I was no longer going to hide that experience, because I was no longer ashamed of what it meant to experience that, right? And so I'm going to try and grab the link here, and I'm going to come back to the chat, and I'm going to drop the link down here for Bags in the Attic. So if this is a book you want to read just to read my experience, or if you have a similar story and know that you went through some things, man, and you want to tell the story to heal others, right? Your testimony opens the door for healing in others who are still hiding. Man, there's no need to hide. We don't have to hide, but some people just need a little push, right? And your story could be that push, that gentle push that says, you know what? I'm no longer going to let this thing be the weight over I'm no longer going to let this be a cloud over my head. I no longer want this to be who I am, because I was created in the image of God. I was given dominion. I was given the name of God. I was given authority. I rule over the birds of the air and the beasts of the field and the fishes in the sea, because God gave me that authority. He gave me that power. But we give our power away to our circumstances. We give our power away to others. We give our power away to the experiences that we endured, to the adversities, to those wilderness moments, to those mountain experiences. We give our power away. We give our power away to man. We give our power away sometimes to our children. We give our power away sometimes to our bosses. And we give our power away. And the next thing you know, we feel inadequate. The next thing you know, we feel powerless. The next thing you know, we feel like we don't matter. Right? It's time you stand up and take back control and take back your power. I said this before, I'm going to say this again. I can sit here and tell you about my story all day long. And I can tell a room full of people, which I've done over the years since that book was published. That is the 9th book that I wrote. Book number 9 was my personal story. And it meant something to me because the number 9 means a newness. Number 9 means rebirth, right? Number 9 means what is new, what is next, right? And it was so crazy. I didn't even recognize that was my 9th book. I wanted it to be my first book, but I didn't have the courage to write it as my first book. And so there was 8 other books that I wrote before my personal story. And it was divinely assigned for that number, divinely appointed, divinely assigned, right? But the minute I wrote that book, I felt a release. I felt a breakthrough. I felt free. Why? Nobody had the power over my story. Good morning, my beautiful sister, Angela Hope. Nobody had the power over my story. Nobody can say, you know what she used to do when she was young? No, because I told it myself. Nobody had the ability to say, you know that one time she was homeless? No, because I told it. You know that one time her husband used to beat her? No, you don't have that power because I told it. And because I told the story and I told all the truth, the real, raw, and ugly truth, nobody had power over that part of my life anymore. I took control over my own power. I took control over my next. I took control over the next step I'm making. I took control over where I was going to go next. I took control of the choices I make. I took control of every action plan I put in place. I took control of every execution I did to change my life and the life of my daughters because of writing that story, right? Because the goal is your testimony opens the door for healing in others who are still hiding. Point number 3. Your story is a kingdom strategy. Let me tell you this. Your story is a kingdom strategy. First of all, if you go through all the mess and all the stuff that you went through and you overcame it, you came out of it, who do you think was there with you in all of the mess? Your Father. Your Father in heaven. He was there with you throughout all of it. Do you not know that he knew you were going to experience those things? He knew. If he knew you before he placed you in his mother's womb, and he had a purpose for you, and your purpose was to go through certain things in life so that you can bless others because you've had the experience. Do you not know that he knew that you were going to go through this stuff? He's an all-seeing, all-knowing God. So he knew. But the one thing that he promised you was that he was never going to leave you alone, that he was going to always be with you. Have you ever gone through some things and when you come out of it, you're like, oh my God, how did I come out of that? Have you ever been in some situation that you say, Lord, if you just get me out of this, I will forever worship you? Lord, please just get me out of this. Lord, please just get me out of it. I'm in trouble, Lord. Can you get me out of this? And I promise you. And sometimes we don't even keep the promises that we make when we're in those situations, right? So that's how we don't keep the promise, right? But when we're in those situations and we're saying, Lord, just help me out of it, right? He's always there with you. And he took you through that because he was building the foundation of who you are. He was building the foundation of Angela. He was giving Angela the experience so that Angela would be able to share her story to the women and the men that God had assigned for her to change their lives. Here's the thing. We all have an assignment. We all have people assigned to us based on our experiences, man. And I can stand here and I can tell you about my story all day long. I can read the book to you cover to cover, and you'll walk away with what you want to walk away with. You'll walk away with just what you heard, right? 10, 12, 14 people hearing the story. Each of them will take something away. I remember doing a book club, and it had to be about 30 something women. And they interviewed me about the book, and it was like a 2.5-hour call. And they literally went through my whole book, asking me questions, the toughest questions I've ever been asked by a group of women, right? And I was answering those questions, and every one of those women asked me something different. All 30 something of them. And they all said, well, this is what I heard. This is what I took away. Or can you repeat this again? Did this really happen? Every one of those women asked me something different or said, this is what I heard. And it was all 30 something different things, right? The same thing with me speaking to them. They all walked away with something different, right? So you can stand and you can share your story all day long. People will walk away with what they want to hear. And then they'll never remember all of it. They'll remember that thing that stood out to them. That's what they remember. But when you write it in a book, they will never forget because the book is there. They can always go back. They can reference the chapter. They can say, oh my God, I remember she said this. Let me go read what she really said, right? That is the power of the written word. It is a writing. Is a generational seed. What is a seed? A seed is the smallest entity of the orchard. The seed is the thing that you plant. That apple seed, that little apple seed is what you plant and you water. It turns into a seedling. The seedling turns into a young tree. The young tree turns into an older tree, and then it bears fruit. And as it bears, some of the apples that fall from the tree and fall to the floor, they rot. They turn into seeds. They go back into the ground. More apple trees form. The next thing you know, you're going from a seed to an orchard. What is the purpose of the orchard? The purpose of the orchard is for those that are hungry will feed from the orchard, from the apples. That is what your seed is. That is what you are. That is what your purpose is. That is what your story does. That is what your story does, right? Number 3, your story is a kingdom strategy. God didn't allow you to survive just to keep it a secret. He preserved you so you could publish it. Like whenever I talk about books, I get all excited. Like people like, I don't have a story. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You do have a story. right? Because I'll have a conversation with you and you will say to me, you know, this is what I experienced when I was younger. This is what I experienced on my job, or this is what I experienced, you know, all these things, all these different areas of life. This is what I experienced in the church hurt, all the things, right? Discrimination at work. All of those things are your stories. All of those things are your lived experiences, right? God didn't allow you to survive them just so you can keep it a secret. Are you kidding me? He preserved you so that you could publish it. Whether written, spoken, or recorded, your testimony is a seed that bears eternal fruit because it's going to outlive you. What you write today is history for the next generation. Right now, today, as you write, you are creating history. His story, her story, your story. You may never stand on a stage, but your story can travel where your feet will never go. So even if you never get the opportunity to speak on a stage, even if you never get the opportunity to speak in another country, your story can travel where your feet will never go. I want to bring up another book today. And this is a book. This young lady was also in our cohort for the March. Let me tell you, we are turning out. Yesterday, I showed you 3 books, right? I showed you Minister Angela Hope's book, Committed to the Covenant. I showed you Renita D. Davis' book about hope. And I showed you Charmaine LaFonde's book about grief, right? Today, I'm showing you 3 more books. That's the power of the written word. Power of the written word. Some of these ladies have just, it's their first book. Some of these ladies have written in anthologies, but they're writing their own book, creating their own publishing imprint. This is another one that was published in March with our cohort, Charlotte Izzard. And this book was about being in a role in corporate America and the burden that can be felt while you are there. Overwhelmed, stuck, unsure of your next move, unsure if you're being treated fairly, the pay disparage, all of those things, right? Your head is going in a million circles. For those of you who have been in corporate, you know what that means, right? It's like you're in the hamster wheel. You go in and you're expected to do, and do they see you as valuable, or do they see you just as, you know, a machine? Are you valued, or are you just a machine, right? And you have to figure out how you create self-discipline for yourself and create a meaningful impact. You have to know how in your little cubicle, the power that you have. And so Charlotte experienced some of this and wanted to put it in a book, right? How do you quiet the noise in your head? How do you quiet the chaos and unlock your own self-leadership so you can create impact? And so that's the book that Charlotte decided to write. And I'm going to grab her link, right? I'm going to grab her link. Oh, and make sure I have her link. I'm going to copy her link. I'm coming back and I'm going to drop Charlotte Izzard's link here in the chat, right? So there it is. So I just posted these 3 links yesterday. If you go back and watch my replay, I posted 3 links also for those 3 authors that I talked about, right? So what God brought you through is your assignment to share. What God brought you through is your assignment to share. There's 2 things I want to leave you with this morning. Number 1, I've been doing declarations since last week. So I want you to go back and watch all the replays. You can go onto YouTube, Joan T. Randall TV, and you can watch the replays. I have some YouTube shorts out there with just really poignant moments as I speak. And I just decided, like, let me do this 1-minute video from this. Or you can follow me on TikTok at Dr. Joan T. Randall, and you can watch those shorts as well. But here is the declaration that I want you to take away today. God will use what tried to break me to bless someone else. If somebody could write that down in the chat, that would be fantastic. If not, it's no big deal. God will use what tried to break me to bless someone else. God, use your break-ins to bless others. That's your purpose. It's as simple as that, right? And here is your prompt, your journal prompt today. Also, every day I've been giving you a journal prompt. It's called Jesus Joan and Journal for a reason, right? So if you watch me, or if you have been watching this since last week, it means that you're supposed to get something away, something from it. So as an elder, as a minister, as a woman of God, I cannot come here and speak and not give you something as a takeaway, right? Every day I've given a declaration. Every day I give a journal prompt. Here's your journal prompt today. First of all, I want to ask two questions. Question number one, what testimony in your life have you kept hidden or minimized that God may be asking you to share? What testimony that you have minimized or kept hidden, knowing that God is asking you to share it? You get that prompt every day. I need to tell my story. I need to tell my story. But you put it on the back burner. It's always on the back burner. It's so crazy. Like what God wants us to do, we put it on the back burner. Sad. It's sad. We wake up every day with breath in our lungs. We can hear, see, smell, taste, feel. We have roof over our head. We have food to eat. We have clothes to cover us. It's the grace of God that keeps us. Yet, anytime he asks us to do something, we put it on the back burner. He's always our afterthought. He's never our priority. That is sad. Who could be transformed by your truth if you told your story today? Who could be transformed by your truth if you told your story today? So this is what I want you to do, right? You don't have to, like, listen, you don't have to be obedient to me. I did have to be obedient to me. I'm just sharing what the Lord gives me, right? And so record a short voice memo or a video of a personal testimony just for yourself. Just record it. Record a short video or a voice memo of a personal testimony. You never know what that can lead to, right? One day you may just decide to share it with a bunch of people, right? But listen, that's all I have for you today. I hope that you have been blessed with the topic, the title for today, testimonies that transform. Know that all the things that you experience is an opportunity for you to transform someone's life. All right. That's all I have for you today. May God bless you and keep you. And here's the thing. If you want to join our Bible study, if you go back to Monday's replay, you'll hear me talk all about our Ignite Bible Academy. So join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. It's Zoom, right? You don't have to be a part of our ministry, but we want you to learn and understand, how do I absorb and meditate and understand the word of God? And there's no better person to teach that than my apostle. I'm telling you, Juanita Corey Jackson. So I want to invite you to our Ignite Bible Academy. It's every Thursday at 7 p.m. We're starting a new series tomorrow, July the 10th, and it's going to be about the first family. You want to be there. You want to be there. Okay. All right. May God bless you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye.